to see a visionary rise. Them woulda want me dead and buried. Now go in. No, my God too stronger. So I'm gonna make them do me just like
Fire, what you saying?
Yes, I ready. You know it go fire. More live.
We are here. We are here again for another episode of Ballhead and the Dread. Have to remind the people we have a new series, Navigating the Internet with Autarchii, right? Make sure you check that one out. The most recent one, he spoke about why cookies know so much about you and how to stop it, right? That's in the description. Make sure you check out our most recent short film, the story of Jamaica's most famous shirt, the Mesh Marina fire, right? Also, what we have there, full interview from Dr. Umar Johnson and Paula Hurlock available. We're gonna start putting up the full interviews. People were asking for it, so now it's here. Also, Farah has a new EP, new album that is coming out soon, but the EP is still available. Disrupting the Status Quo. That link there is in the description. Make sure you check it out. Farah, what we're reasoning about today?
Yes, I. So today we are reasoning about a question. I feel like one of the most valid questions this, and I feel like it's a great reason because are parents really responsible for the outcome of their children? And we feel like this saga have mixed reviews because a lot of people see it from different angles. And that's why we really want to tackle it and dig in it and pre some particular pointers we can go towards either side, you know?
All right. Before we even start, right, we know parenting has changed dramatically over, say, the last 5 decades, and we have to give you a historical background. I wrote down my notes so there's no hitch, no nothing, right? Clearly says parent as a verb gained widespread use in the 1970s, which is also when parenting books exploded, right? I don't know much. I had an elder one time. He was a pastor, believe it or not, and the man told me there's no book you can read about parenting. Parent is something that naturally you have to grow and flow with. So, red flag. 1980s brought helicopter parenting. We know what that is for those of you. The people just on it all the time with the children. A movement to keep children safe from physical harm, spurred by high-profile child assaults and abductions, despite the fact they were and are exceedingly rare. Intensive parenting. This is a quote from a lady, Jessica Calarco, who's a sociologist at Indiana University. The reason I'm sharing with it because it's pretty interesting. She wrote about negotiating opportunities. Intensive parenting is a way for especially affluent white mothers to make sure their children are maintaining their advantage position in society, right? So therefore, there's a whole economic thing that goes into this type of parenting that most people, unfortunately, are unable to do due to their occupation, education, and many other factors, right? Now, in regards to the parenting vibe, far right? One more thing I want to add to. One of the other reasons for the rise in this whole helicopter parenting people like to mention is economic anxiety, fire. Like, this generation is the first generation to acknowledge a reality where it's like it's likely your children aren't going to do as good as you financially. All right. It is what it is. And it's a hard pill for people to swallow. And I think they're running around trying to do everything to make sure the child is in a position to, I guess, thrive financially. What has occurred with parenting, right? We spoke about it before, and I have to mention it again. Parenting has changed dramatically. Parents have now become entertainers instead of disciplinarians and guiders in a sense, right? It's this whole vibe where basically you're supposed to be this clown and you're supposed to blah, and keep the kid entertained all day. I have Jamaican parents, right? It never went like that. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't that type of vibe. They provided a certain level of nurture and guidance. Now, it's a theory I have. I'm not a psychologist, a childologist, anything else. We just reason, right? I think that because there's so much prosperity preaching in America and so much self-help books, I think people fail to realize the amount of control they don't have over their lives and over the outcome of certain situations. The way I approach life is this. The only control I have is the effort I put into something. In all reality, I don't have any control over the outcome. I can heighten my probability of an outcome based on the effort that I put in and plans I may try to execute. But the reality is, right, I really don't have much control over the outcome of things in my life. That's just my approach. A person may disagree with that, but that's how I just approach life. It keeps me in a healthier state, and I'm not attached to the outcome, right? Yes. Now, I will say, when I do execute certain things, I do have outcomes that turn out the way that I do, but I'm not so attached to the outcome because I know that I really don't have control over the outcome. I translate this to parenting. People feel if they do certain things, they're almost guaranteeing the outcome of the child, which is unrealistic and a recipe for disaster. I think the only control parents do have is what they put into the child. Now, we are in a parenting crisis where people aren't putting anything into the child, right? But Farah, I'm sure you can relate to this, and I learned this through education. Kids are just wired differently. You'll have a kid that's from straight dysfunction, right? But they just want to do with this. They just want to do something. I don't care. You can put this kid on, I don't know where you can put this kid wherever you want to put him. They want to do something with themselves and they're going to figure it out, which is a rare type of child, right? But that is the reality of it. You have other kids, they could get all the nurturing, tutoring, everything could be a perfect fire. They just don't have it. They just don't have it and they just don't want it. And what I noticed with some of them, you take away their ambition with all the things you're providing. You don't give them that area to struggle. And I think that is the harsh reality of parenting people don't want to accept. I think society with TV shows, Hollywood, they've presented this format for parenting with this idea that if you do this, it's almost like a degree in a sense, Farai, right? If you do good in your classes, I guess you'll be a valedictorian, or at least you'll get a job. You'll put yourself in a position, not necessarily do well in life, but you put yourself in a position to get a job. I think that they feel that, if you do these things, the child's going to turn out a certain way. And we're blind to the fact that it doesn't work. Because in my opinion, right, this generation is far more backwards than the previous generation. They're soft, they're entitled, they don't have basic skills, they don't have soft skills, they struggle with reading, they struggle with math, with all these resources and all these things. Parents driving kids all around to these different functions. Kids ain't really free to just buck wild and be outside and do what they want to do. All these, I think, Farai, listen, you see in the future when they review what took place, they're going to say we were totally wrong. They were totally wrong because it's not working. I'm not saying that, previous generations was a little rougher, and that come with a certain level of collateral damage. But I think that, Farai, I don't like having these conversations, because I say things that's unpopular. Listen, I was talking to my wife about one of my coaches, right? And I was saying that first of all, you couldn't coach in this generation because that man would get locked up straight. He'll be all over the internet and the man would be banned. But what I was saying is that they need to bring back verbal abuse, to a certain. It's down the way still, right? But it's too much tippy-toeing around these people. So when you do say something, there's this whole mental breakdown. Now, when you go out in the real world, people going to say stuff. They're not going to tiptoe around you. So might as well learn how to deal with it. But we doing all this maneuvering and all this, all this. It's not even proper nurturing. It's just soft. I don't know what they're doing, but all they're doing is creating soft people that can't function in society. That's all that's coming down to. And that's why they at home till they 50, 40, 50, 60, because they can't leave the house and function and survive. Because they haven't been provided any skills or any opportunities to be a strong adult. So this parenting thing, I'm telling you, is tricky. It's tricky. It's tricky. Being an entertainer and being your child's friend is not helping them. It's not helping them at all. Because anybody who wants to be, and parents don't want to hear this, fire. They don't want to hear it, but it's just the truth. Anybody who's been doing that, look at your child and sees the child performing on the heights like they should be. Now, you may have a couple that go through, but as I stated before, that one that goes through, that don't have nothing to do with you. Whether you was being a friend or not paying them no mind, that person want to do something with themselves. And that's the thing most parents don't want to accept too. They want to feel like they played a part in your success. Yeah, you may provide things for the kid, but a lot of these kids, it's just they want to do something now. And we don't want to accept that. Either have it or you don't have it. And a lot of people just don't have it. It is what it is. They just don't have it. That's why the world is the way it is. You have the haves and the have-nots. Your child's not going to stick in. Your child has no resilience. They're not going to stick in on anything hard. You cannot teach that. Because the child that's sticking in, anybody teach them that. You know, and it's just a harsh reality, Fire. A lot of these kids I've seen this in education. You know, listen, these kids are wired differently. I've seen kids both come from this and that, nothing there, and some people just want to do something with themselves. I'm a man, just want to do something with myself. It is what it is. Life has not been the smoothest road. You know, yes, I had parents and I had a certain level of a low vibes, but I really want to do something with myself. I've just always been an ambitious person. If you talk to my mother, she gonna say, yo, this bridge in here, always been doing stuff. Anything they said I can't do, I've done, and I've always pushed myself to do stuff even I didn't think I could do. So it's something within me. Nobody teach me that. It's just something within me. And I've always, don't get it twisted too, we done had the setbacks, right? But I will say, you know how people like giving themselves names? I will call myself the bounce back king, yeah. God, I forget knocked to the floor. I've been knocked through the floor. I've been locked to the cradle of the earth, and I just come back. And nobody taught me that. Parents could take credit for what they want, but ain't nobody teach me that fight. That's just how I move. And I think parents, man, they want to take credit for stuff that's just not there. Yeah, you could provide a child with the house and this, and, you know, obviously not to be abusive physically, mentally, sexually, and all those things. But in regards to the child, some people just want to do stuff with themselves.
Straight reality there, all right, check it now. What they have really mentioned, if you all enough ones, they probably never get it one day. I can show them it the next way. So we know the heights of sensitivity. So that's the whole thing. We know the height of sensitivity. So everything, single thing is sensitive. And it sets up by design still. It sets up by design. Like things supposed to be so sensitive. And then so when you're not at the height of sensitivity and more things that get thrown at you, it leads to confusion more easier. And that really take place right now. So when me say the only thing where we can do for combat that, especially when you meds it from a parental standpoint, you have to combat that with influence, right? And that's the only real part where you have control over, where as they said the same way. So now when you talk about the influence, right? It all belongs to leadership qualities still, you know. Just like any other thing in his leadership qualities, you know. So first and foremost, me very much establish this. As a parent, you have to have the utmost influence. So you're supposed to be your child's first role model. That still don't mean say you are going to determine the outcome same way. No, that's not what it means. But you should be the youth first role model, and being the first role model for your child mean that the ultimate influence with them see, them can say, all right, it's something where them admire. This is a formula will work. So this individual who happens to be my parent, who guide and protect me and take care of me from a youth stage, have a formula will work. And what is this formula? How does this person carry out this particular formula? What are the different pieces we go into this person carrying out this thing? I'm gonna say this person because I really want to detach it from the fact that you're the child's parent, because enough people feel like say, yo, all right, you don't have any leadership quality. You're not a good role model. You're not a person who can actually, you're not a decisive individual, but yet still you're a parent. So you feel like, say, that automatically make you be in charge. No. If you irresponsible and use a person who can't influence somebody, you're not even decisive when you reach the final third for no say, this is what we are going to do. And this particular decision where we make, are going to make we reach to a higher heights. No. Not because your appearance means say you're automatically supposed to just fill the slot. And that's how most people go wrong. So you see, when you have the influence there, and you can, that now in itself can help mold a youth and shape a youth, because the youth have an environment and a surrounding where the youth coming from. But just like any other organization, just like any other relationship, just like any other thing in life, when you do that now and you as a leader, it don't mean say everybody in the organization I go come out and farm out that same particular way, you know. So you can't feel no way if it don't shape the way, you know. But you have to know, say, you have to be very much conscious of how much you influence the youth. So when time you have certain things will stand out, to a youth, So like if you attack to a youth and you realize you're wrong, you can apologize to a youth and show a youth you're wrong. So when you're wrong, you're supposed to apologize. Some simple thing in it might look simple, but it's not as simple as you think it is, So if you're wrong in an instance, you can show a youth say you did wrong, apologize to a youth. But because the old school parent, that's the difference now. So the old school parent, them feel like them me not apologize to a youth, because if I apologize to a youth, it make me too vulnerable, it make me look soft, and then I can't go make up back from that. So them take out the humanistic aspect out of the whole parenting, and this and now one's go wrong. And then the modern parent now feel like it's all about apologizing. So it's like it shifts totally. So all about apologizing and being that second in command to your youth. And when you become the second in command to your youth now, your youth is like a free farm. So the influence we are talking about, it's like the influence get lost. And when the influence the last now, you don't have no more control. So the outcome, the right off the top, you definitely don't shape that in that outcome, because you're kissing the youth the ass so much that you not even realize the outcome there, it all depends on. So when them sip on TV, when them go to school go learn, when them watch pan a movie, when them sip on the internet, when them sip on social media, them thing they now become the attributes them where them start take on to for themselves, and you not have no shaping. So it's like the two different extreme. So we realize the ones that for the know is find a balance. And even when you find a balance again, it's not you determine the outcome, because there you say you have enough youth where grew up in some household where you can't even believe say them grew up in them loving household, and them full of so much different hatred, and them full of so much vibes where are them lack so much ambition when them did grow up around so much different ambition. You see what I say? But at the full of the day, because remember, Earth is simple, I want people understand it, because sometimes I feel like people make this thing too complex. Earth is simple, Everybody did have to come to Earth through a mother and father. You see? And the mother and father where you come at Earth to is I call it by default. And you love your mother and father because you have a blood connection, and you have a connection over the years where with the interaction and all of these different things. I want to grow up in the same setting, so the love automatically form. But if you step beyond that and look upon it from a general aspect, you start overstand say, is life in a fire. And everybody coming to a mother and a father that don't determine your personality, because everybody have them own different personality. And if you as a mother and father, say your youth have a particular personality, what you gonna do, you gotta try to customize your approach to fit the personality there. But it don't mean that the personality there I go come out to the same way how you are trying to mold them, Them can come out and take majority of the attributes, and you that hope say the attributes them where them take the attributes them will lead them towards becoming that individual where can actually impact society in the right way, where can make you feel proud. But don't get it twisted in none of that way I say. It's not you don't determine the outcome. You can only influence the outcome. Just like a man say, music no cause crime. Music influence crime. So that people start that, and I don't really understand why a debate is there, because we understand say if you're sad and you listen music because you want to get happy, right? Or vice versa. That means the music influence your mood. And so as a parent, you influence that child mood, you influence that child behavior. But no matter how you influence that behavior, you are not responsible for the outcome. They are the only one responsible for the outcome itself. But society have influence where them play in the thing, and that's why we always a call for a whole society, a whole community where surround a youth so them can get different influence from different places. And who knows, one of them different places where the youth them might get influence from, which not positive like me talking, it might be the personality will resonate to them more. So just like how we just say, all right, as a black youth to want them know about Marcus Garvey or whatever, or Malcolm X or whatever, them personality they would have say, yo, them type of person, suppose it's the personality that them aspire to be more like, but them get a respect for you same way. So it more shape them the way they, as well as you have the negative side of it too, where the negative individual there, it shape towards for them personality, and them get influenced by that. So there's so much different influence to come into play when it comes to a youth, where you have to be very, very careful. But again, as I say, every single thing to me that is, it boils down to the leadership qualities and the influence where you can shape on a youth. Because if a youth say, yeah, tell them to read every day, and you them never see a read a book yet. But I feel like it's an individual where them are going to start to read. Just like, unless some youth just determine and say, you know, some really want to read though. I'm not care if my mother or father I tell me, say, boy, just go read, I'm going to sit them and help me. The youth, you have some youth are determined through gunshot and all of them things that them want to study, them want to go school. Them just have that in them. But it's not every youth stay so. So yeah, it's very difficult and so you deal with it on a customized basis because every single youth different, you know. And you have to have a customizable approach to every single youth. So it's not no one thing work for no youth straight through, you know. But moreover, is the leadership quality and the influence we have, and that can help shape the way how things turn out, but it not necessarily lead towards what destiny is for your youth.
No, fire. We give thanks for the clarification. And also, I just want to add for anyone who misunderstands, because I said it, and this brethren said this. I don't know what else needs to be said, but you still need to provide things for your children. But the point is, it just heightens the probability of a certain outcome. Don't do it with the intention that this thing is guaranteed. Oh, because I did this, the child will turn out like that. That's what we're trying to clarify. And don't have your heart all broken and feel all guilty because the child turned out a certain way because what did I do? Far you did your best. It's very difficult being a parent in this time. Hey, I saw one thing. Let me pull it up because I don't want to get out of the wrong statistics. Then we there. What about we there? Propagate. All right. It says mothers, right? Mothers spend the same time with their kids as stay-home mothers in the 70s. I believe it. I believe it. And this ties into what I said earlier with the friendship. So what's happening a lot of times is there's a guilt amongst parents because I guess they're watching some TV show and the parent got their hand around the kid and they seem like they're chilling with the kid all the time. So when they chill with the kid, I've seen this firsthand. Observe this with our peers. When they're with the kid, it always got to be this grand, spectacular thing. It got to be some great. That's why Disney World and all these things work. Fire, the thing we just talking about, going to the water park and all these things, right? What I've learned, this is in my personal life. You see, the most powerful moments with your child is the simplest thing, like going to the supermarket and having a conversation in the car and asking about the day and that consistency. Everything doesn't have to be this great, grand production, right? It's the consistency. What they say, the little moments of the small things, they really add up. Taking them to the park or just chilling with them or walking to them or playing a little game with them. Everything doesn't have to be this big, big, big thing. The next thing I want to add in there too, yo, you got to stop recording your children, fire, right? Just enjoy the moment. Everything don't got to be recording and all this recording because the moment's not being experienced. And I don't know what the long-term, because it's a new phenomenon, but I don't know what the long-term effect of this recording the kids every second, recording everything they do and all this like they some actor or something. You know, so if you can, lower the recording. I'm not saying don't take pictures of your children and don't keep memories, but the people overdoing it and getting kids to do stuff, I think you gotta easy on that, you know. If you want to take a picture of your child somewhere that's unique, feel free. But all this, now I see people that spend almost 20 minutes prepping up a picture with the child. Fire done see, Fire, the thing's so cool. Come man, we in the park all the time, so I'm there observing. I saw a mother and two kids come to the park. Can't make this up. Come to the park, like kind of getting them to slide. They were younger, getting them to slide down, take some pictures, and gone. Not good, yeah. Not good. Not to say, hey, I don't know if you really want the picture. I don't know the situation, but I see too many times that is more recording and picture taking and interacting and enjoying fun.
Oh, they're accurate, man. Because remember, say a social media era now, you know. So that's why the thing get out and social media era now. So yeah, as what they say, them a come at the park, take the picture, and the youth them the focus lose off of the youth because remember, say I want go post. So, oh, with my baby. So and doesn't make people feel like they must spend time. But you see the time with them take. After you prep up them message there for make people say that them not do it, and you have some ones who spend that minimal amount of time with them youth, so them want to feel. So it's like a guilt. It's like a guilt thing.
All right, listen. You know what I learned, and the people won't hear this, but it is, and this is accurate. I haven't done this study to back it up, but it's accurate. The more pictures you post with the child is the less time you spend with the child. The people that I know that really spend time with their child, there's no unique experience. They're not sending you that because they with the child all the time, fire. Unless it's some rare event. But you see all this with the child, you're never with the child, fire. So that's why you have to go out your way to make sure it seems like you're with the child. Or when you are with the child, it gotta be a big expenditure, as I said earlier, some big shopping and all this. And that gap in between is not there. Consistency, fire. Consistency. consistency. If you can, some people can. It is what it is. But if you can, you need to make an effort. I think some people need to ease off of chilling around other men, right? They spend a lot of time, other men, drinking, smoking, talking total BS. I'm not saying all the time, but it would benefit the child long term if you spend a little of that time with the child. And a lot of behaviors people have with their child, I could easily fire. I'm a man observe life, yo. You see when the child be buck wild in public, yo, there's no respect there if I don't spend no time with the child, yo. Not saying you have some kids that just off though still, right? As we said earlier, but a lot of kids, if you really spend time with, they're pretty chill, you know, because they know the program and they know which lines not to cross, and there's a respect there. But when you don't spend time with them, and I can see how it's a frustrating process, but I guess you yourself would have to get through that process to get them to where they just chill, you know, because they all over the place and they're not with you. So when they're with you, I don't know if they're looking, I don't know what they're doing, fire, but some of these kids be turned up to the max. You know, so I've noticed, as I said, I may be wrong. I'm just talking my personal experience, right? But I've noticed people who consistently spend time with the child is much calmer and easier to deal with. And those who don't spend time with them, when they do take them out in public, it's a big old show. The rolling on the ground, the rolling on the ground, and all this yelling and all this. Nah, fight, this can't work. You know, so
man.
this guy's.
No man, that's straight facts.
No,
there.
it is.
You see, even the picture thing where they talk about and the video thing and all of that. All right, you know what the weird part about it? When all of these people are take this picture and this video, these youth is them not even send it to no family member for you. It's not even like them must send a family for make a one can see the growth of the youth. It's more of feeding them ego and making up who them feel like so them last for you. So it's all about them. So you see, again, you know, so the leadership come back into play, you know. I'm feel like say, if you're not a great leader, you're not fit to be a great parent. And that is a main takeaway more enough people understand. You can't be a person who is not a great leader and want to be a great parent because you're not going to have a grip. Because remember, already we don't establish, say, you can't determine the outcome of your youth per se, you know. You only can influence it. And if we come to the conclusion there, then you is not a great leader. Remember, any organization when I have a great leader, it go crumbling, you know, because them not gonna know how to do certain things. And remember, the next important part of the whole thing is that we talk about resources. You are the person who supply the resources to a youth. If you are meds the resources where you really are supply to your youth, them time they are meds, you will start meditate how much of an impact you can have on them, because if you supply them with limited amount of resources, most of the time, them brain and them mindset are gonna become limited. And if you supply them with resources, I'm not talking about just financial resources, you know, because I feel like people hear resources and think about finances all of this time. That's why I say, Disney and all of these different things can appeal to so much people because them feel like say that are the resources them supposed to supply to a youth. No, supplying resources to a youth, as they say, it's very simple, which means you're answering the questions where the youth them are asked, guys. So most times some people, then we have all of these small talks with friends, all of these small talk with whoever them want to have. And yet still when it comes to answering questions and them youth, them shrug it off and tell them, so you can't ask so much questions, go and go watch TV, you know, go and go do this though. So you see that the meditation and the time there where they mention, it's very essential because the time in there, it show them life skills too, because even as the grocery and thing where they say, it show them say, all right, we have food. We need to gather food for the household for cook, and this is the place where we get it from. So over here, so we need to have these errands. We have something called responsibility, and these responsibilities that we have, these are the things where you have to go do at a particular time when there's no one there to govern your life but you. So you have to make sure so you can match up these responsibilities. And you say this life skills thing are some very important thing with them there. Them need to start teaching them you too. Talking about finances and all of these things. So you see them very important thing there, and them thing that we have to start injecting.
Right.
Them thing they know will make you have a better grip on your youth there.
All right, sorry to cut you. Continue, right? Manners, fire. Before we get life skills, teach your child basic manners. Yes. Thank you. No, thank you. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I just see kids interrupting adults, fire. Manners. Before we even get to all these other skills, thank you. Thank you. That's all. Kids don't say thank you. They don't say it to each other. They don't say it to adults. Sorry, fire. I just had to throw that in there.
No, the right thing there, I say fire, because remember, you know, it's like we are talking about, remember I said the original question, we really want, I'm really, for a reasoning like this, really I stick to the point itself, you know, fire. You know, there's so much to talk about it, I really I stick to the point, like the outcome, are you responsible for the outcome, you know, fire? Because remember, say, is where you're injecting our youth, you know, we're injecting our youth, yeah, all right. If you inject 10 qualities then in our youth, and you know, say it's more than one quality we're injecting our youth, you would at least, even if them don't turn out to be like pandemonium, as where people would say, would I call it directly as where you expect them to be, some of these qualities we inject would still be there. You see me I say? And the next thing we have to understand say, is not towards your liking. It's not towards your liking, it's towards for them own liking, but they have to understand that again, you know. So when you inject them with certain different type of qualities, manners, as they say, resources, you make sure so them learn certain life skills, all of these different, and the energy too, you know. And that's the next part of it too, you know. For you see, if you want to have influence over them youth, yeah, in regards to the outcome, you have to make sure so you put some right energy in the youth them, because some of the youth them when you see them now, them like them as youth, it's weird because normally when you see little youth, them energy normally upbeat and all of these things, but you start a little bit now and them energy just off.
Walking dead like the parents, fire.
Yes,
it's just the facts. I
it could
want
be
to
a
put
bit
it out
energy
there, yeah,
off.
because the parents' energy off, and it's just pure negativity and depression in the world over and all this type of. They have a fire. Some of these kids got a negative outlook on life already, right? And yes, now we'll keep it real. Circumstances does play a thing, but what are they around? They're around people that just don't see any good in life, don't see any hope. So that done already. It's over for them already because they just don't have a view where anything can manifest. And I'm speaking if anyone questioning fire. I've been around teenagers for years, and I see it. You hear certain kids with certain sounds that's very negative. And so where do you get that from? But when you meet the parent, it all makes sense. Any teacher will tell you this. Any question they have about a student is answered once they meet the parent. There's nothing to ask again. So if I had this person moving like this, once you meet the parent, right, everything written on the wall is over. Now, going back to what I said, every kid doesn't embrace that, right? Because some people just wire different. But a lot, they internalize those things. Some may grow out of it, hopefully. Some don't grow out of it. But that's a thing that you're instilling. You remember earlier we were saying in regards to certain things you can instill and try your best. That's something that you're instilling that's lowering their probability of success in life. Because everything is probabilities. And what example, as far as stated, what example have you provided for the child? But we do listen. I just encourage people to, one, don't think you have this direct control over the outcome of your child. I think it's unrealistic and it's unhealthy. Now, if your child goes astray, the best you can do is support the child, not enable the child, because that's two different things. We have support and enabling, right? You can support the child the best that you can. It is what it is. Some people just go way astray. Some people get introduced to certain crowds. Some people get introduced to certain substances that it just takes control of them. We hope that doesn't happen, right? But I think what we can do as parents is just be the best person you can be, right? Acknowledge your mistakes. Try to show your child certain skills that'll help them survive in life, and leave it at that. I think that's kind of the approach. Because what happens now when the child does go astray, people dig a deeper ditch with this enabling. And sometimes there are tough conversations that you have, and sometimes you need to distance yourself from the child. Because I see people who, they just keep supporting certain behaviors that are detrimental, that's not helping the person change around and take responsibility for their actions. So that's a different conversation. But that's a lot of things that we see in a sense. So this parenting thing, man, it's definitely been commercialized, and people have been pressured out there behind through the system. I don't think I've experienced this also. Look, man, I read a book. I'm not going, forgot the name of the book. But when I looked up the author didn't have children. I thought it was the most bugged out thing. It was the craziest thing ever. I couldn't believe it. Author didn't have children, right? So it's not even a vibe where, with these relationship gurus or whatever, at least they've been divorced like 10 times, right? So it's like, all right, the man been divorced a bunch of times. He's observed and can talk. If you never had no kids, I don't know if you should be talking about kids, right? Because it's a different hustle. You can say what you think, and babysitting is not parenting. Two different things. You watching a kid for 2 hours, you're gone. You back to your life. You're not dealing. You know, I wake up late at night or all these little vibes. You know, so but we encourage everyone to just build the best relationship they can with their child. Stop internalizing the system's idea of parenting. Right? We need to do a next reasoning too on the flip side of the unrealistic expectation children have of their parents. There's some of these people walking around 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years old, still mad at what their parent did. Fire. This can't work. Can't work. That's the next reason we're going to have, right? But because we can't leave out that side. But yeah, I just think that, you know, just do your best with the kids and give them the guidance and support. You know, stop trying to live through your kids. That's the next reasoning. We got a bunch of reasons that offshoot off of this. Parents trying to live through their kids.
And no partiality to fire, cause I just the thing I says there, said me no want the part to go and sell in the fire, especially to we talk about outcomes. We really no want the part to go and sell, as they say, yeah, support your youth, see, but in a them child. We don't want the partiality come in place for you, because this is very important for know, because if a youth go do, if you're youth, because what normally happens is that if a youth go do crime or a youth do something wrong, a parent feel like, as what they said, the parent feel like say them are the cause of that, because they never shaped the youth the right way. But we need people to understand, say every single human being has their own personality, their own identity. But there's no way that you can teach children lessons by being partial. You can't be partial. You can't be partial. Not because it's your child. You have to think about the situation from a holistic perspective. And if you don't think about the situation from a holistic perspective, it only going to make the situation worse, because that child are going to feel like you will always be in adults. But we keep on call them that child, which you know said is your child. Your child will always feel like, say, it no matter how old them be, them will feel like, say, them supposed to do the wrong, because that wrong is always being supported by their parents. And that in itself is the biggest recipe for disaster.
And they're going to get that bailout.
All right.
All right. They talk about government bailout. They need to talk about parent bailout fire. Hey, you know how many people, listen, I had a bridging that was a bail bondsman, right? So the way that it worked was, I hope I remember this clearly, but I believe he used to ask him straight up, was the child guilty of the crime? Because if it was a high probability they would get convicted, he would tell them not to put their assets up because you're not going to get it back. And a lot of them knew the situation. They would still put it up. If I lose everything over the child foolishness, and the child get back out. It is what it is. And we know Gang spoke about a mother's love and all that, but at a certain time, fire is just like, you know, support versus enabling is a fine line. And most people cross that to full-blown enabling, you know, under the guise of support, which is destructive for all parties involved. You know, so the vibes go, but we give thanks for everyone listening. Hopefully this reasoning made you uncomfortable and made you think and reflect and figure, say, oh, certain things we have to do. We all have to get to that point for growth. You know, I've been in many situations where I run across an idea make me uncomfortable. And that's a good thing, because say, yo, if I got to improve, or I got to switch up what I'm doing, you know? So if you're going to run from the discomfort, good luck. You're going to be stuck in the same zone. No progress in there. Guarantee you that. If you get free time, make sure you check out Reasoning from Far Eye. New series here, Navigating the Internet with Autarchii. This one here is called Why Cookies Know So Much About You and How to Stop It. Make sure, if you didn't already, make sure you check out Full Reasoning from Dr. Umar Johnson and Paula Hurlock. We appreciate if you can share the podcast along with things we have there on I Never Knew TV. Also, our latest short film, the story of Jamaica's most famous shirt, the Mesh Marina. If you didn't see it, make sure you watch it, all right? And I'm guarantee you will laugh. People will really get a kick out of the fact of always seeing that shirt, even if they're not don't have Jamaican parents or Caribbean. Always seeing the shirt, never knew what the heck is going on. And
they distributed.
Yeah. So they get a kick out of that. Make sure you watch it. Is there anything else that you should know about? I think that's pretty much it. But we do ask that you really, if you listen to this far into the reasoning, right, really reflect and just figure if there's something you need to change, just change. You're not a bad person. It is what it is. You need to change. We all need to change and evolve our way of thinking and our perspective on life. You know, we can't. I don't think I should be looking at life the same way I did last year, 5 years, definitely 10 years ago. Shoot, even last week, I think I should be evolving with a higher perspective and tweaking stuff to improve and grow.
Yeah, just
Big time. So we give thanks.
Look how them kill the donkey Marty, just because them want to break the land and free the money. Patrice Lumumba get killer, even though we never did I do no wrong still. Escaping by the night, I've got to leave this sight, leaving out a room. You know me want go home. Escaping by the night, I've got to leave this side, leaving out a room. You know me want